Quo Vadis, chapter 37. Vinicius to Ligia. The slave Phlegon, by whom I send this letter, is a Christian, hence he will be one of those to receive the freedom from thy hands, my dearest. He is an old servant of our house, so I can write to thee with full confidence, and without fear that the letter will fall into other hands than thine. I write from Laurentum, where we have halted because of heat. Otto owned here a lordly villa, which on a time he presented to Poppaea, and she, though divorced from him, saw fit in retaining the magnificent present. When I think of the women who surround me now, and of thee, it seems to me that from the stones hurled by Deucalion, there must have risen people of various kinds, altogether unlike one another, and that thou art of those born of crystal. I admire and love thee from my whole soul, and I wish to speak only of thee. Hence I am forced to constrain myself to write of our journey, of that which happens to me, and of news of the court. Well, Caesar was the guest of Poppaea, who prepared for him secretly a magnificent reception. She invited only a few of his favorite, but Petronius and I were among them. After dinner we sailed in golden boats over the sea, which was as calm as if I had been sleeping, as blue as thy eyes. O divine one! We ourselves rowed, for evidently it flattered the Augusta that men of consular dignity or their sons were rowing for her. Caesar, sitting at the rudder of a purple toga, sang a hymn in honor of the sea. This hymn he had composed the night before, and with Diodorus had arranged music into it. In other boats he was accompanied by slaves from India who knew how to play on seashells, while round about appeared numerous dolphins, as if entire and incited by amphitheaters steps by music. Those don't know what I was doing. I was thinking of thee and yearning. I wanted to gather in that sea, that calm, and that music, and give the whole to thee. Those thou wished that we should live in some place at the seashore, far from Rome, my Augusta. I have land in Sicily, in which there is an almost forest, which has rose-colored blossoms in spring, and this forest goes down so near the sea that the tips of the branches almost touch the water. There I will love thee and magnify Paul's teachings, for I know that I will not be opposed to love and happiness. Dost thou wish? But before I hear thy answer, I will write further of what happened on the boat. Soon the shore was far behind. We saw a sail before us in the distance, and all at once a dispute rose as whether it was a common fishing boat or a great ship from Ostia. I was the first to discover what it was, and then the Augusta said that for my eyes evidently nothing was hidden, and dropping the veil over her face on a sudden, she inquired if I could recognize her thus. Petronius answered immediately that it was not possible to see even the sun behind a cloud, but she said, as in jest, that love alone could blind such a piercing glance as mine, and naming various women of the court, she fell to inquire and guessing which one I loved. I answered calmly, but at last she mentioned that name. Speaking of thee, she uncovered her face again and looked at me, and looked at me with evil and inquire eyes. I feel real gratitude to Petronius, who turned the boat at that moment, through which general attention was taken from me. For had I heard hostile, sneering words touching thee, I should not have been able to hide my anger, and should have had to struggle with the wish to break the head of that wicked, malicious woman with my oar. Thou rememberest the incidents at the pond of Agrippa, about which I told thee at the house of Linus on the eve of my departure. Petronius is alarmed on my account, and today again he implored me not to offend the Augusta's vanity. But Petronius does not understand me, and he does not realize that apart from thee, I know no pleasure or beauty of love, and that for Poppaea I feel only disgust and contempt. Thou hast changed my soul greatly, so greatly that I shall not wish now to return to my former life. But have no fear that harm might reach me here. Poppaea does not love me, for she cannot love anyone, and her desires arise only from anger at Caesar, who is under her influence yet, and who is even capable of loving her yet. Still, he does not spare her and does not hide from her transgressions and shamelessness. I will tell thee, besides, something which shall pacify thee. Peter told me in parting not to fear Caesar, since a hair will not fall from my head, and I believe him. Some voice in my soul says that every word of his must be accomplished, that since he blessed our love, neither Caesar nor all powers of Hades nor predestination itself could take thee from me, O Ligia. When I think of this, I am happy as if I were in heaven, which alone is calm and happy. But what I say of heaven is predestination may offend thee, a Christian. Christ has not washed me yet, but my heart is like an empty chalice, which Paul of Tarsus is to fill with the sweet doctrine professed by thee. The sweetest for me that is thine, thou divine one. Count even this as a merit to me that I have emptied emptied it of the liquid with which I was filled before, and that I do not withdraw it, but hold it forth as a thirsty man standing at a pure spring. Let me find favor in thy eyes. In Antium my days and nights will pass in listening to Paul, who acquires such influence among people on the first day that they surround him continually, seeing in him not only a wonder worker, but a being almost supernatural. Yesterday I saw gladness on his face, and when I asked what he was doing, he answered, I am sowing. Petronius knows that he is among my people, and wishes to see him, and thus Seneca also heard him from Gallo. But the stars are growing pale, O Ligia, and Lucifer of the morning is bright with grooming force. Soon the dawn will make the sea ruddy, all is sleeping round about, but I'm thinking of thee and loving thee. Be greeted together with the morning dawn, Sponsa mea.